Hey guys, welcome back everybody. So today we are going to talk about the OSPF configuration on the ASR router. ASR routers or NCS router or 8000 routers. These routers are basically used in the service provider environment. So if you're planning to, take the exam for the CCNP SPCOR and the CCIE service provider as well, then this video will be helpful for you. So if you see this topology right now, I have router number 1, router 2, and router 3, router 4. These routers are part of the single area right now. So you can configure those in the single area and multiple area as well. We'll talk about it in the separate video. So in this video, we'll talk about the single area configuration. It's not a mandatory that you should go with the area 0 only. You can go with the any area, doesn't matter. You can go with the area 10 and area 20 as well. Now, so on the XR side, what happened if I'm going to compare with the iOS one, the commands are a little different, right? So if you remember that in the last video, right, we talked about how to configure the IP address on the XR router. So if you don't know and if you're new for the XR, right? So what I'm going to suggest you first, you should watch the videos on the XR, like how to configure the IP addressing, how to configure the static routing, and then you can come to this video. So what I can do that the first I'm going to configure the normal IP addressing on the XR router, and then I'll show you what is the difference is happening the command line between the iOS and XRs. So I'll use my notepad to configure all these routers. So for the router number 1, I'll say the XR1. We have a config terminal interface 0/0/0/0/0. IP address we have 10.1.12.1, right, /24, no shutdown. And then we interface 0/0/1. I have a IP address will be 10.1.23. It should be 13.1. All good. /24, no shutdown. Now, one thing, what is the differences happening? Let me recap you. So in XR, what happened? We have a 2 stage of configuration. In the first stage, what happened? Once you're gonna put this configuration will be not activated on the router. This configuration will be there on the router, but it's not activated. It means that if I'm gonna put the command show IP interface brief right now, you will not see any IP address on the router side. So what you have to do that you need to put the commit command. Commit is a way that you can save the configuration on the XR router. That's called the second stage of configuration. If you're going to comparison with your iOS one, iOS has a single stage of configuration. Same thing, I need to put the command over here, commit this guy. Same thing on the XR number 2. Now we have, right, a config terminal interface 0/0/0/0. IP address will be 10.1.2/24, no shutdown. And we have interface 0/0/1, and IP address will be 10.1.24.2/24, no shutdown, right? That's all. I'll also do one thing. I'll change the host name for this one. I'll say the host name will be XR2, and this should be the host name will be XR number 1, right? That's good. On our XR3 as well, I'll copy this configuration. So you guys also start doing the, whenever you're gonna do the lab, start doing the practice in the notepad to the configured. In this way, what happened, you can save the time, right? You can just copy and paste the configuration for the multiple router. At the same time, what happened is the another way to remember the command line. So we have R3, we have our 13.3 right now, and this will be 0/1. If you see that, this will be go with the 34.3. That's all on XR4. Now we have on the XR4, I have a same to physical interface. 0/0 will be 34.4, and this should be 24.4 as well. That's my 0/1 interface. At the same time, I have a loopback. So remember that loopback is a logical interface. It is not associated with any kind of hardware, right? And that's why we don't need to put the no shutdown command as well. And loopback doesn't have a MAC address as well. All good right now. So we have a configuration. So I'll take the console of this router. So whenever you're gonna encounter the router first time, the XR router, right? What happened? You need to define the username and password. So I'll give the username is a log, and password will be Cisco1. Same thing, I need to retype the password again. Law is my username and Cisco1 is my password. What I can do that, I'll copy and paste this configuration. Copy and come on. All good. Same thing on okay, this is the multicast one. Same thing on the router number 2 as well. We have law Cisco1 is my password. Law is my username and Cisco1 is my password. Config terminal, and I'll copy this configuration now. This is for the R2. That's all. Commit this guy. So if you see that, I do not have this configuration on the interface right now because it's a single stage configuration. Even the configuration is a part of the router right now. What I can do that, I'll put the second stage of configuration, commit this guy. Once I'm going to commit this guy, the configuration will be activated on the router side. So if you see, do show IP interface brief now, I have that interface configuration. Same thing on the R3 now. Okay, this is the law is username, Cisco1 is my password. Great. And here we go. So that's for the R3, copy and paste this guy, commit this one. And same way, I have a router 4 as well. Okay, I'll give the username as my law, Cisco1 is my password, Cisco1 is password. That's good. Now what I can do that, come on, law Cisco1, config terminal, I'll give the IP addressing. So if you see, if you're gonna put the command show configuration, right? So just you can, you can copy this config, verification command as well in your notebook, right? So that whenever you're gonna troubleshooting in the tab, so it will help you, right? How to, so how to troubleshoot these things, and whenever the troubleshooting comes in the picture, normally what happens, people forget the command line. So either you can do the keep practicing, or either you can remember the command line. So we have, if you see the show configuration after the command, so this command will just show you that what configuration you have entered on the router till now. It's not activated on the router, it's in activate mode right now. So if I'm going to put the command do show IP interface brief, nothing is there. And once I'm going to put the command commit, my configuration has been saved. So now you can see the show IP interface brief right now, my configuration is bingo. What I can do that, now we need to configure the OSPF protocol. Now, if I'm going to comparison with your normal iOS router, how do you configure the iOS? So let's example, if I'm going to tell you, hey, let's configure this network, right, which is associated with this particular interface. If I talk about in the iOS, what happened, you just need to go in the router OSPF mode, and you can tell this guy, listen, network 1.0.0.0.0. Then you can define the wildcard mask, right? And define the area 0. That's all. Whatever the area, that's not a matter. And that's all. This is the way that you can enable the interface into the OSPF product protocol. Same way, the alternative, what we have, you just need to go under the interface 0/0, right? And I can say that IP OSPF 1, right, area 0. So this area 0, right, it's basically this interface. I'm making this guy as a part of the area 0, and that's a part of the procedure 1 right now. So there's a 2 ways that you can enable the OSPF, right, on the iOS command, right? But if I talk about even the XC as well, okay, but if I talk about the XR one, XR is a little different, right? So in the XR, what happened? Everything is hierarchy. Everything is in the hierarchy mode. So it's not like that you need to jump from the router mode to the current interface mode and interface mode to the router mode. So right now, if you see that in the iOS, what happened? You have a config mode where you do all the configuration related to the config mode. But let's example, if I'm going to configure the stub right now, I have to go in the config mode and configure the stub. Let's example, if I'm going to configure the what do we call summarization right now, I need to go in the router mode. Let's example, I want to configure the distance command, or maybe I want to change the what do we call reference bandwidth, right? I need to go in the config mode only. But what happen if I need to apply the authentication, right? I need to go in the interface mode. What happen if I need to change the metric right now? I need to go in the interface mode. So we have a 2 modes right now in the iOS one. So normally it's a very hard to troubleshoot. You need to identify which mode the configuration is present right now. What XR is doing that over here, XR is doing everything in the single box, right? And that's a good part of the XR. So all the configuration, right, doesn't matter the router mode configuration and in the interface mode configuration, everything will be present in the single box. So if you just put the command show router OSPF, right, what happened? You will get the all configs in the single box, and that makes it easy to troubleshoot as well. So in XR, what happened if I'm going to compare this with this configuration? How do you configure on the XR? You just need to go on the router side. So the router OSPF number 1, right? Same way that you have done over here till this point, right? And then you can define the area. So I said the area number 0 right now because I have area 0. And under this area, I just need to call the interface. So there is no network command in this one, right? There is no network command like this we have. There's no network command. We just need to call the interface. So let's example, I have a 2 interface. I'll call the interface gig 0 by 0 by 0 by 0 by 0. That's all. My interface has been configured. Same thing, I have another interface gig 0 by 0 by 0 by 0 by 0 by 1. My interface has been configured. So my both interface is now enabled in the area 0, which is the part of the OSPF process ID 1. It's a simple config if you're going to compare with the iOS one. So now let me explain you that how you can configure it on the XR1. So I'll go to the router number 1, XR1. I'll say the router OSPF number 1, area 0, interface gig 0 by 0 by 0, and interface gig 0 by 0 by 1. I'll say the commit this guy. Same thing on the XR number 2 right now. Router OSPF number 1, area 0, and as the interface gig 0 by 0 by 0, and interface gig 0 by 0 by 1. Let's example, if you want to configure the router ID, you can also configure the router ID. I'll say the router ID will be 111. Same thing on the router ID for the R2, it's 2.2.2.2. On XR3 as well, we have a similar configuration. I'll copy this one. And same way XR4, we have a similar configuration. I just need to add the loopback. That's all. Sorry. R3 will be 3.3.3 and R4 will be 4.4.4. And I'm done. So if you see how easy it is, right? If you're going to compare with your normal iOS configuration. So now I'll copy and paste this configuration on the router number 1, right? I'm not going to commit this guy right now. I'm just going to show you the, syntax on the XR. I'll say the show configuration right now. You can see that. These are my configuration we have it, right? So this exclamation mark that you see right now, it's a 1 exit. So I just configure in the normal way, but normally what happened, you can put the exit command from here, and then you can say that exit from here as like this, right? Now, same way, what happened, I can put this one. I'll go on data number 2, right? And let me shape this guy, first of all. On data number 2 as well, I can configure this guy, config terminal interface, done, commit this one. Same way, we have router 3 as well. The behavior, the neighborship behavior spread, everything is same. There's no difference in the neighborship. There's no difference in the packets. There's no difference in the states as well. There's no difference in the areas as well. Okay, of course, few things are changes in the configuration line, right? That I'll show you that. But the concept is same. Same thing on the router 4 as well. And I'll configure this guy. So my OSPF has been configured, commit this one, right? And I can see just wait for some time because it's a 40-second, it will take the DR, VDR, etc. Then after that, what happened? They will form the OSPF neighborship, right? So router 1 is going to form the OSPF neighborship with the router 2. It's also going to form the neighborship between this guy to this guy, this guy to this guy, and this guy to this guy. Once the neighborship has been formed, then what happened? Router 4 is going to advertise this route to the R2 and R3. R2 is going to advertise this route to the R1, and R3 is also going to advertise this route to the R1. So eventually, router 1 will receive this route from both the ways. So you can see right now on the router number 1, show IP root OSPF. That's not getting why. Did I call the loop back over here? I did call it. Let me check on the router 4. Do show OSPF interface brief. Yeah, I do have it. Yeah, bingo. So now you can see that I have it out. And of course, I can make a ping as well. So if you see, if I'm going to make a ping, right? Ping 4.4.4.4.4. Right? That's working good right now. So in the next video, I'll show you how to, verify the database table and what are the verification commands we have in the OSPF routing protocol on the XR router. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next video.